afternoon. It's the breeze is nice. It's hot, but it's not too hot. Hopefully I didn't speak too soon. But anyway, I'm happy to see everybody. Thank you for joining us for this special culinary meeting that we're hosting today to talk a little bit more about and follow up with what we discussed last week in Town Hall, and also the written letter that went out last week as well. So my name is Hillary Lace. I'm the executive director here at Hacienda at the Canyon. I'm joined by our culinary team. So I've got Genaro Cruz Limon, who is our assistant culinary director and manages the service operation. I've got assistant culinary director, Chef Jake Barbara, who oversees the back of house operation, or otherwise known as the culinary production. And then I've got Shane Oliver, who's also a professional chef and over the entire operation. So as I kick this off, this is not sort of one of those fly-by-night things that we just decided a week ago to write up and send out. This is months of evaluating, discussing, researching, listening to member feedback, looking at the various surveys, talking about what works, what doesn't work, what do we need to do, how do we need to do it. This has been very extensively thought out. And in terms of how we're rolling this out, that's also another one of those aspects where we really thought a lot about how to roll this out, how to communicate it, and how and when to do it. So I'm going to talk a little bit, and then we have made a 11-page FAQ with what are likely a pretty exhaustive list of questions, because we've gotten to know you pretty well. We kind of know what people want to hear about, what their individual questions are. We actually had some members reach out with questions before we had this meeting. So we had an opportunity to really prep and think about how we're going to talk about this today. So everybody can walk away with a copy of this. They'll also be available at the concierge for members who didn't attend, because part of what I talked about last week in Town Hall is we want to ensure that everybody gets the same information and hears the same information. Essentially straight from the team's proverbial mouth, right? We want to try and make sure we don't have rumors spreading or misinformation or misunderstandings about the what and why and how of all of this happening. So it's important to us that we articulate this as clearly and in as definitive a way as possible. So it's maybe good bedtime reading later, I'm not sure. But what we're going to do today is we're going to work as a team and go through all these various questions. What I'd very much like for you to do is to listen with an open mind, okay? I know you all have questions. I'd like for you to hold them. We're going to leave some time at the end for Q&A. But also remember, if you haven't heard your question yet or what you're concerned about, it's likely still coming, okay? So I ask and beg a little patience on that. When we do get to the Q&A part, Allie, our member experienced liaison, is with us. We've got our little microphone. Remember, we use the microphone so that those folks who are going to watch this later, either via live stream, right now actually it's being live streamed, or in the recording that we send out later, they can hear your question, okay? So with that said, I want to kind of kick it off and just talk a little bit about and reiterate the what and why behind where we are from what we discussed last week in Member Town Hall. So we know through member feedback, through just ongoing iterations of how we've managed culinary here, that there are opportunities for us to continue to improve. There are times when we do things really well, and there are times when we are just totally missing the mark, and we know that. What we also know is that as this property has been open now for 7 years, is now essentially fully occupied, and we're running 6 restaurants, inclusive now of 2 concepts that were never envisioned, the cafe and Buena Vista. What we do and how we do it looks and needs to look a lot different than what it once did. And in order to do that, we not only had to, I think, look at how do we address concerns, needs, and issues in the moment, but how do we reflect back on where we've been, and how do we turn that into where we go, so that we can address overall opportunities, concerns, and things that we are consistently missing the mark, but also ensure that we build an operation that's sustainable and that we can consistently execute. So for this exercise, it was a lot of time spent on what is Canyon, what is it going to be, how is it going to continue to operate, and then what do we need to do to support that. So it's not just about the meals we serve every night, it's about what are we doing in the kitchen? How are we improving workflow? How are we rewriting menus? How are we looking at different purveyors and vendors that we use? It's a soup to nuts reevaluation of the entire operation. Now, what I will say is that not all of this change is it's not like we're gonna flip a switch and all of these changes are going to happen and suddenly everything's going to be different. There's gonna be a phased rollout, right? And we'll talk more about that as we get into this FAQ. So with that said, I am going to turn it over to Shane and he's gonna jump in here and take it away. Thank you.
Wow, I didn't know we were live streaming, so I didn't excuse my age actually. So welcome everybody. It's nice to have you here. As Hillary just mentioned, a lot of is this thing on? A lot of thought has gone into this. Basically, the feedback that we get from the members and our advisory meetings and comment cards and common sense. A lot of it's common sense. As Hillary mentioned, you know, we are full to capacity. I think we're doing between 750 and 1,000 meals a day here, and we could not continue to do that the way we were, so we've made some significant changes in that matter. Are we trying to reduce what we're doing? Absolutely not. We're actually taking the focus more to the creative side and to the consistency side and to the quality side versus trying to do things that are been handed to us and expected us to roll them out and with very little guidance in that. And that's the bad word, the crandall menu, if you will. I've heard that. Are they being made to save money? I've been asked this a lot of times. We are full to occupancy here. We have no intention whatsoever to cut back on quality, and we are here to take our time and develop things that fit better in what we're going to be doing. So we're not looking to cut anything back, and we're not looking to serve a lesser product, that's for sure. Have the members asked for these changes? And yes, you have asked for them. I've spoken to most all of you about things that were missed opportunities, things that we do really well, things that we could do better. And so your feedback is invaluable. I have encouraged you to contact Chef directly, and some have done that, and it's been very effective. I know one of the things was the coleslaw. We kind of took that into shape, and a lot of people appreciate that. So he's very responsive. I'm not trying to pass the buck. I support him 100%, and I'm there with him. But he wants to know from you directly. And as we move on to the new life, and we know we're really that, we love that. But we also want to get rid of them.
so during these next 2 months, as a lot of you know, it's extremely hot in Tucson. So the member population drops significantly during these 2 months. So it's a real good opportunity to kind of get in what we need to in Napa so it runs properly in the future. And Napa will reopen, yes. It'll reopen by the end of September following completion of the things that we need to get in, like heat lamps and sous vide machines, stuff like that. What will be different about Napa when it reopens? So we're taking the appetizers away from Napa, and then instead we will be coming up with daily amuse-bouches, basically. And it'll be complimentary, and it'll make it easier to taste the meal because you'll get your amuse-bouche, which if you don't know is a one-bite appetizer. Kind of just gets your palate going. You can't be refreshing or whatever you want it to be. And then you will also be coursed with a salad as well. So it'll make it easier for you to slowly enjoy the meal because Napa is supposed to be a leisurely experience where you kind of get to relax and take your time and stuff like that. Why are the premium steaks and seafood being concentrated in Napa? That gives us an opportunity to give you guys actual prime cuts and then, better fish in Napa. And then we can keep that menu also rotating and stay unique to you guys. Will Buena Vista receive menu enhancements? Absolutely. Buena Vista is next on my list after we complete the Moro, the Taboo, and the gallery transition. And then we should be able to roll right into making the Buena Vista menu a lot more change for you guys, and rotating also.
So I'm going to kind of pick up here with where Jake left off and jump in a little bit and talking about some of the modifications we are going to be making to the kitchen and the overall dining operation that are more physical plant related. So as many of you know, the kitchen is undersized for the operation that we're running. And I think, hindsight's always 20/20 when somebody does something new and different. They don't always know what needs to be different about the new enterprise. And so this is one of those, I think, big lessons learned that given how robust the food and beverage program and culinary program is here, the kitchen needed to be bigger. And the building's built. So what do? Well, we work with what we have, we figure out ways to work around it, we look at new equipment, we look at how we can basically pull space from here and repurpose it, and reconfigure the line, and we can do all kinds of things within our control. Does that mean that we're gonna shut down the kitchen and rebuild it? No, that's not going to happen. And we are still looking at how we can better use and potentially do improvements to Buena Vista, for example. But the point is that the things that are strategically being done in the main kitchen to support Napa, to support Gallery, to support Taboon, and to support Morrow are being done with very intentional understanding that for us to improve consistency around food production, these are necessary changes. We also have to do them while still serving all these meals every day. So James has been a very active part of that. Obviously, the culinary team has been a very active part of figuring out what do we do, how do we do it, and when does all that happen. So that's actually all started happening, okay? And it isn't one of those things where you're going to necessarily know, oh, they put in a brand new piece of equipment today. But by the time Napa is ready to reopen, we will have reconfigured our kitchen in order to support that nightly fine dining operation. It's a pretty significant change. Okay, so one of the things that's also been a frequent question is why does dining in some places take longer than it used to? And the reality is that's a really complicated, layered question. But again, if 300 people decide to eat on a Tuesday night, it's going to take us longer, especially if it happens between 5 and 6:30. That's going to take longer to produce that food than on a Thursday night when only 150 people decide. So we're met with challenges based on what I would consider our design preferences as well as just operational work. So part of moving to a program where Jake and the culinary team are really honed in on preferences, who's ordering what's not being ordered. Well, if it's not being ordered, it comes on the menu, we stop getting ready to prepare for that. It allows us to focus our attention on something else. Okay? It also means that we're really looking at creating what we would call two traction lines, one that services Mora, one that services Yuba, so that they're not trying to simultaneously put food on one portion. Okay. The other thing you're going to see is galleries doing are going to come, even though it's one kitchen now, you will see it's much more active. Okay, there will be more labor going in behind it to produce food, serve their food, to serve food that's for the galleries. Part of why we rolled out in last week's messaging differences in expected dining times or wait times on the, talk about a little bit in how it's also letter, is basically just that expectation on, did I go to the so what can I expect? Did I have a dinner in Iowa? What can I expect? Did I have a dinner in Florida? What can I expect? We want to make sure that as we create unique identities, that it's very clear that if I go to Point Vista for dinner tonight, the experience is going to look a little different than my house tomorrow. We want to be able to not just create that expectation for you, but also create an expectation and standard for culinary team and the service team. Gathering experience. So I did mention that right now we work really hard to, if you sit down and have dinner tonight and order out the TV menu and whether or not you have the cost to order out the gallery and to do everything possible to produce the food it out simultaneously. That said, they're coming out to different missions. So part of what Jake and his team have really worked to do is how do we reconfigure the gallery menus to be produced in this way and use limited support from the mission so that when you sit down and order, regardless of what you're going to have gallery or food, you can get your dining experience that's downloaded in the wall between two of them. That you can dine and enjoy a meal regardless of what you order. Okay, I'm going to turn it over though to Pilar, who's going to jump in and talk a little bit about the go program because this has really been since we rolled out full counts and since we launched on limitations. So,
I just wanted to say my heart is burning right here because I have some good information. Those of you who have taken the tour of the kitchen, thank you very much. That break room right now is being assembled and moved to the new location downstairs. It'll be very nice. And we are also, she did mention it, but in the future, possibly enclosing that patio thing up in Buena Vista that we don't really use because it's too practical and making that more of a freestanding restaurant concept itself. So sorry, I just had
No, it's good, don't worry. Good afternoon, everybody. You know I like energy, I'm all about energy. Okay, one more time. Good afternoon, everybody. These are some exciting times. We have a lot of information. And who mentioned it, to go is my baby, but also too, I understand that and I know that we have to try to with it. So looking at how can we improve our to-go program because to-go has taken off to something bigger than what it was 3-4 years ago during COVID. Now it has become a part of everybody's daily life on our needs. So how can we streamline that? What we are looking at now to do is implement only for dinner. That everybody and understand that only for dinner that we're going to be looking at 2 pickup times, 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. The reason why we're doing it 2 pickup time is so we can actually take time to help improve food quality and really help us start working on order accuracy. We've done some change up with our labor to increase safety and putting labor into those. Found a way on how to put labor access help increase the accuracy with those to-go orders. You can still place orders until 3:30 p.m. for dinner. I'm going to talk a lot more about this to-go. Okay, more questions. Okay, now, what if you don't like a particular change? We're all human. I know we're not going to like some changes, but piggybacking off of what Shane and what Hillary already mentioned is that yes, we will be listening to member feedback. Part of that, and that's what else too, Jackson and bringing up our here, is that some of you already noticed that we've been on the floor now pretty much every little area on each side of the dining room. One of the other steps that we're doing is that we're looking at the comment cards. We're looking at comment cards AD. So this way, in our shift, in our pre-meal, we share with the servers, we share with the cooks what the experience is right now. So we're going to use that information to continue to what we call move forward and grow forward to help better grow our program. Now, what happens if a change does not work as intended? I quit. No, I'm kidding. No, you're stuck with me. If the change doesn't work as intended, that's the one thing that what I love about change is that change can change. We're going to revisit it, step back, and pivot the ship however we need to help it continue moving forward. What should members expect after July 5th? So members should expect the beginning of an ongoing evolution rather than a single event. Some changes will be visible immediately, while others will occur gradually over time. And I'm not going to go to the timeline yet. I think we're going to have something else on that one. And what is the long-term vision for dining at the Canyon? Okay, so the long-term vision for dining. The long-term vision is to create a culinary program that reflects the quality, hospitality, variety, and sense of community that members expect while remaining sustainable and capable of supporting a fully occupied campus. Our goal is to preserve dining exactly as it was when the Canyon opened. Where can I learn more or ask questions? We encourage members to participate in the July 7th group committee. That's where up in Buena Vista. Speak with members of the culinary leadership team, or call or email culinary team directly with questions, feedback, or suggestions. Now I'm hand it over to our executive director.
So we covered a lot of content, and I just want to make sure that and I actually I heard a couple of snippets, and I misspoke a little bit. The goal is not to preserve dining exactly as it was when the campus so yeah, I mean, there are members in this room who can remember once upon a time when there were only 20 people living on this campus and there was a big dining room and it's what you want to eat tonight. Obviously, that is not sustainable in this where we are today. That said, I think we want to preserve the intention and the vision behind the program, which is, again, service, great food that people want to come and gather and enjoy in dining. I also want to talk a little bit about to-go because, to be frank with you, the to-go program was never something that was really envisioned the way it is today. We have COVID, okay? And that's not just here, that's everywhere. People now, with the convenience of DoorDash and Uber Eats and all these different things, you can just as easily order a meal and have it delivered to your house and eat your own room, and then you go and actually sit and have dining experience. That said, there is no to-go food that I've experienced myself, and I'm not with food, that you aren't going to use quality, and then you're happy to go in and shell and send it out. So to that end, we have operational issues around accuracy, we have operational issues around things not being exactly as they need to be. But I also want to encourage people that if you really want full quality food, that's where we want to look for that restaurant experience, not necessarily for the takeout tonight and eat it in the living room. The other thing is food here is built around community, coming to restaurants, sitting and eating. Even if you come up by yourself, there are other people dining in the room who would really love to have you in. So we really have to start to differentiate the role to-go food serves for our membership, as well as what the restaurant style experience is. And that's very much why, as we shift to the pickup times for the evening, we are trying to unload what is our busiest time for service in the restaurants, which is 5 to 6:30. Now, if I convince all of you to come eat 3 o'clock, we could do want to go 3 o'clock, right, or 6 o'clock. But the reality is people tell us when they want to eat in the restaurants, and that's really very much between 5 and 6:30, which is also why there are wait times, right? But these are all trickle-down effects that are really not unique to us. These are challenges that all restaurants experience. And we've got to get better at how we handle them. Okay. So to that end, we will open this up for some Q&A. Like I said, everybody can get, if you want one, a copy of this. We'll put them by the door for people to take on their way out. And I'm also going to make them available at the concierge for people who would like to have one later who didn't come to the session today. So I will, Allie, is the microphone working? Yep. She's going. So I'm looking for questions. Hold on just a second, sorry.
Will attention be paid to healthy options and gluten-free?
Absolutely. So I think, 2 things. Obviously, making sure that we have a robust menu, because you might want to eat healthy, but somebody else down the way is less concerned about that. So I know Jake and the team are very much looking at how do we build out a well-rounded menu that offers a variety of choices. Pescatarian, gluten-friendly, because I want to remind everybody, we have gluten-free options, but we are not a gluten-free kitchen. So we are gluten-friendly. We have no way in our kitchen operation to say we're 100% gluten-free. So yes, those are all considerations and things that are a focus of what we do. And very much about, and Jake will maybe have an opportunity to talk a little bit more about some of the additions that he's looking at putting on the menu here in a minute. But what I can say is that very much what's going to be on the menu is what he knows people want to eat. And what we can see is where people are ordering and where they're showing their preferences. Okay? Hold on a second, we'll go back there.
You may have already addressed this in the questions that we're going to do. What is your feeling about reservations, making reservations, which does happen to control how many people are in which dining room? And do you intend to continue with that?
Absolutely. There's no intention to take reservations
Okay.
away. I think there's probably a role and a place for reservations, but there's also still a role and a place for being able to walk up and make a choice to dine. And so the team is really very aggressively looking at how do those 2 things come together? Because one of the things we have here is choice and opportunity. And so just because you didn't make a reservation tonight, to be able to come down and find a table in one of the restaurants, maybe it's not your first choice, but being able to dine in one of the restaurants is ultimately the goal, even if you might have to wait for 10 minutes. Stephanie, hold on just a second. She's coming with the microphone. Well, the folks at home may not hear you.
What I would like to know is,
I will.
all of the tables, most of the tables are for seating of 4. Why can't we have 6 and 8? There's so many people that want to eat together that can't eat together because there's not enough table space.
I'll let Shane take that one. The question is, why do we not have more 6 and 8 talks?
Yeah, can you push 2 together?
So we, in order to keep the flow of the restaurant, we have to be conscientious of not having those large parties. What happens in those large parties is people come in and they join on and they join on and they join on. You can see that a lot in the Mauro in the morning. And it puts the kitchen back, it puts the people want their order singled out. We're not able to do that. So it's best to keep it to smaller reservations as much as possible. So, and yes, we do take large reservations. We have a system of that, and but every night just having tables of 6 and 8 would not really work out very well because of the fact that the joiners and because of the backup that we put on the kitchen.
I want to follow through with that. Why the kitchens, the servers?
They'll bring you the water and they'll say, be right back for the order. and they're not right back for the order. But
Well, that's a whole different thing.
I
This
know,
is kind of
but
about the
wait a minute.
implementation of the new menu.
there's more. They waste their steps. If they would just stay there when they serve the water and take your order,
Well,
but they go back and
some
forth
people
from
take
kitchen.
longer to order than others, and some people require more attention and more questions are asked. But that's a kind of different than what we're doing today. I'm also going to talk to you about that.
Okay.
And share some more insight on that. On your question earlier, yes, I'm very happy to use my I also have a culinary degree, and I've added 4 great salads. They're interchangeable. They'll be available with different protein or a non-protein. And I'm also doing the Mexican shrimp cocktail in there. And I will be featuring alongside of Chef and Michaela, our sous chef, maybe a nightly special, because my job, I'm not really, can't tie myself to the kitchen, but I'm excited to share my culinary knowledge, skills, abilities, and passion with you. And my focus is primarily on healthier items, so, and that are interchangeable for that.
I have the. I want to, I believe, so that there's no change in with Taboon and Gallery. Wherever you sit, you're going to get both menus, which is a bit ridiculous. People may be sitting in the bar area only because there are empty tables there. Most of the times, people are not choosing the bar area for a bar experience. So I don't understand why we have the multiple menus for space that is really being used all as one. The other question relates to your special salads, which I've gotten from the cafe, very good. Are they also going to be available in the Morrow?
No, they are a taboo item. We're differentiating the two dining completely, so they're headed for it.
And the Morrow tends to be more boring, and that's why people are all crowding into Taboon Gallery because of the great varieties of choices.
So what all of this is about is variety. It's about creativity. It's about having a special of the week there that's designed by our chef, that he stands by, that he's happy with. And so there's some pretty positive changes up and coming for that. And so, but thank you. Well, this is fun. I didn't know how I got up here, but. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm excited about this. It sounds like who we were a year and a half ago when we first came here. And the thing that I worry about is I don't think we have the staffing or the procedures or the process in-house now to pull this off.
Well, I
There's so
appreciate-
many things that aren't working right.
Well, staffing was one of the big things when I got here, and I worked very diligently to get this place staffed up. We have this week 5 new people in the kitchen, 2 dishwashers and 3 cooks.
Well, I'm worried about inventory control. There was no ketchup yesterday. I mean, it's just basic things that aren't working.
Well, no ketchup is probably, I'd have to say, is unacceptable. So we really, we have some things that we need to focus on. Syrup, ketchup, butter, all those types of things.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that there's enough staff and enough process that all of this can happen, and behind it, all of the things that should happen.
Well, we're definitely working really hard toward that goal. So there'll be bumps here and there, but I'm confident that this plan will really help us with that goal. I think she had. Here first. Here first.
Where are we going?
Now I know how
Oh.
Hannah used to feel.
The roads are narrower today, too.
Thank you. I want to talk a little bit more about the to-go menu, the takeout menu. And I agree with what Hillary said about eating in the restaurant, but I like my bungalow and I like to eat dinner there too. But I find that I don't have the knowledge that I need to order properly for myself. So that, and I've mentioned this before, I need to know if there's ham in the pea soup. I need to know if there's bacon in the spinach. There are certain items that I think people don't eat. And for me, I need to know when something has bread in it, breading.
So we are streamlining the to-go menu because we have to condense it in order to be more in control of what's on it. So we could do better with descriptions and whatnot, but if you want to talk about to-go, I'll bring Canaro back up.
Well,
Are you listening?
I was listening, I was actually writing notes too. I'm here for your job. Okay, so the question was about knowing basically the item details for the items that are available online. So with Raina also here, we do team up with Jade, and that's something that we actually have been talking about this week with regards to with the menu expanding. How do we publish the information on Live Loop the day of, so you understand what is available in the items?
Well, I mean,
You did it again.
musical directors. So I think the big thing is with the move away from daily specials, there's not going to be something that gets published today that's unique to today's meal, lunch or dinner or breakfast. The idea is that we'll go to published menus that have variety and rotation. So there may be a weekly featured special, there may be a few of them, but it'll make it easy for us to publish that. You'll get a description of it and you'll know that's available to you from Sunday through Saturday. Chef specials, though, are going to stay unique to the restaurants because they will be very much based on opportunities for culinary creativity. But I think the biggest thing is that we want to support the to-go menu because I hear what you're saying. I like eating at home too, even if I take out food. I like eating at home, and I also like going to a restaurant. And we want to be able to offer that variety of being able to dine in a restaurant and also eat to go. We also have to do it in a way that's sustainable, executable, and provides the consistency. So your comment about how do we better position the menus with descriptions so you know exactly if there's something in a meal that you can't eat and you can't order it, we'll work really hard to create that visibility. And I still encourage you to ask questions.
thank you.
Esther, hold on just a second. She's coming with us.
Thank you. I've got two things. I'm confused about something right now. When you eat in Taboon, you can also order something from Gallery.
Yes.
Will that not be anymore?
No, it's staying that way.
Okay,
The idea would be that it's still a shared dining experience. I understand, we want to keep two unique menus because it offers variety and it offers in that menu the opportunity to, even if you can't sit in Taboon, you can sit in Gallery and still have Taboon food. You can sit in Taboon and still have Gallery food. We want to be able to offer a more robust menu. And we want to execute those food items in a way that we minimize a different experience based on what menu you're ordering from. So if you order from Gallery and that food's coming out of the main kitchen versus you order from Taboon and that food is coming out of the demonstration kitchen, we want it to not arrive at different times. Right now, we've been trying to help people understand that, you might get your food at different times. It's going to be more family style dining. And we want to eliminate, which is why the team is working to activate the Taboon kitchen as a primary workspace for supporting both those menus.
okay.
So you will still have choice.
Now, my second thing is, you said something about the favorite times of people eating. This is not judgmental, but it's realistic. You said 5 or 6. Well, the kitchen closes at 7, so those are the only choices that people have.
Well,
So that's fine with me. I like to eat anytime. But some people would eat at 7, I guess.
And that's a fair question, Esther. We have tried in the last 3 years different times of expanding the kitchen hours and staying open later, only to have nobody come down and dine. So it's sort of a chicken egg situation. We have membership who are asking for later hours. We've tried later hours and then nobody shows up to eat. So we kind of get back to that place that everybody's trying to eat between 5 and 6:30. One of the things, and I'm going to tease this, just like Shane teased the Buena Vista is we are talking about opening tomorrow and keeping it open for lunch and dinner, so that it creates an opportunity for people to dine earlier. Maybe come and get your, I sometimes like to eat at 3:30 in the afternoon dinner if I have a late breakfast and no lunch, right? So looking at ways that we can continue to lean into flexibility, opportunity, but also listen to member feedback.
I wasn't going to do this, but I will. With regard to go ordering, you have at least 7 years worth of experience of all the various times when people order. Have you actually compiled all that and figured out whether X number at 4, X number at 4:15, X number at 5, 6,
Yes.
and
Yes, so he's asking how we've got years of doing this, have we looked at when people order to go food, and we have. We have that data now that we've had a full count in place for 2 years. We didn't have it before, but we do now, and we have looked at that very strategically as part of this plan. So, and that's not to say that as we get this going, there still won't be opportunity to add back or maybe further take change. This is a first step towards addressing ongoing issues that we know we have, and we have to start somewhere.
and one last thing, how does that affect delivery orders?
It'll be the same thing. You'll pick it's asking about delivery times. You'll pick a delivery time based on that window. And just think her hand went up first. We'll get you next.
The question I have is, will you please specifically explain how you will handle pickups at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock? Okay, very specifically, please. I know you've been asked that question in advance, and I know most people would really like to hear in a group so we can all understand the specific answer to that.
I'm going to let Henara describe it.
All right, so it's gonna be a double tap, answering, building off of the gentleman's question here and your question. So the reason why, in detail, why we're doing the 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock.
Not why, how? He'll get there, Brad. My own answer, please.
So the why is because when I looked at the counts from 5 to 5:30, we're doing an average 35 to 42 pickups just in that one crunch time. Okay, so how we're going to do it is that Jake and I have agreed that we work out a system. The kitchen's going to open up at 3:30 to start putting together all the 4 o'clock pickups. Then that's when the dining room opens up at 4. We have the happy hour members that come in, plus additional members that come in. Then between 4 and 4:30 and 4:45, we start pushing out all the 5 o'clocks. So we also have extra labor back there to help with this. Because at 5 and 5:15 is when both, I want to reiterate that, both sides of the campus are multi-seating at the same time from 5 to 5:30. And that's what's causing this backlog in the kitchen and where we are making the mistakes. So by basically building in these layers is now where we can actually, the word in my head is itemize, where we can fix everything and continue pushing things forward to make it grow smoothly.
We have a follow-up? Follow-up question, please. Maybe I'm dense, but if you order for a 4 o'clock pickup, does that mean when you go at 4 o'clock, it will be there and it will be ready?
Oh, I'm sure we're still going to have that little gap. I'm going to be honest, we'll probably do 4:15, but the whole idea is that we can get these online and to-go orders out before the dining rooms fill up, and then it starts affecting the entire campus.
So a 4 o'clock pickup does not mean you'll sit there for 45 minutes? Okay, all right.
Don't give it to him. How are you going to keep it hot?
Where,
One moment.
Well, we're gonna do our best. And so the reality is the idea is that by producing the food and packaging the food in a short window of time, and then putting it out for pickup in a very short window of time, rather than getting it stuck in a delayed production process, you'll get food that's prepared and picked up in a much shorter delivery window.
How are you going to take care of the fact that you're going to have 25 or 30 people calling over the things, looking for their orders? And
we're not going to have 25 to 30 people pawing over their orders. There's going to be somebody out there managing the pickups. Okay?
It'll be a clear, remain written and
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
for you.
So the idea would be it gets produced, it gets brought out, you're there to pick it up. And this is going to be a work in progress. And you are going to probably get some food that's less hot than you would like it. And that's also why I would encourage you to come and eat in the dining room. Well, that is something we can control much more easily than sending food out the door to go.
Is pickup going to be at the same place? Same location?
Yes, the plan is to still have it go out at Morrow unless you're picking
So-
up likely a pizza.
So at 5 o'clock, you're prepared to have 25, 30 people standing there.
We will create a workflow to support it.
And what about deliveries? Will deliveries be anytime from 4 to 7?
No, there will be delivery times based on sending out a loop of people with delivery orders. So it's not going to be you put in an order and we deliver it right then. There will be delivery times based on their order pickup times.
So I could move my to-go process that I've been using for years to just deliveries and still have a time frame up till 7.
No, we're still talking about setting 2 times for to-go and delivery food at 4 and 5. If you want to dine after 5 o'clock, that's where you come to the restaurant.
Well, you just said deliveries. That hasn't been in any of the communications about deliveries yet.
We will clarify that.
So deliveries only at 4 and 5.
Yes. Yes. Hold on.
Oops, sorry.
Well, I think, with to-go food, I would personally expect to maybe have to heat it in my microwave. Now, I have a friend here whose microwave is way too high for her to reach it. Will that be tended to?
No, that's James. That's it down there.
Claire, I would say let's have a conversation with James, or whoever that person is, let's have a conversation with that person, okay? Everybody on this campus saw how the kitchens were arranged when they chose their apartment. Not a single person didn't care. It's not germane to this. I understand where you're going with it, and we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about.
Okay.
Okay. Sure.
So the to-go effort that we're doing is much more collaborative than it was before. So we have servers around, we have people that are in downtime, that will be helping us expedite everything, and we'll get more and more at that. Right now, this line is knocking everything out, and then you have 1 or 2 people trying to pack things and get things everywhere. It's a little bit chaotic. And this will all be working for the same cause. So there will be quirks, but we will master it.
Yes, I'd like to change the subject temporarily, maybe, I don't know, but I'm concerned about the bar. That bartenders don't seem to be there on a regular basis like they used to be in the past, and a few are, but you're using a lot of wait staff for the bar, and then I feel bad too for Hanero.
Don't feel bad for Gennaro, he left this job. So we used to have a bartender that was there full time, but we need to have a more collaborative, we are training, cross-training. We're providing knowledge, skills, and abilities to our staff also, so that they can learn from that and go on.
There's no consistency between them at all.
Well, we have to work on that. And Jackson is here. He left just as soon as he
Yeah, he left. Yes, he left.
But I hear you, I understand you, I was talking to the dining room, I heard somebody say, not the cocktail that I ordered. I looked at it, it looked weird, it got to be a Manhattan, and it was not a Manhattan. And I understand how frustrating that is. But the people that we have there are learning, and we need to probably focus a lot more on their training. But we are trying to do a more of a teamwork effort. And the person that's not here anymore was a great bartender, made delicious drinks, and she was a very, very hard worker. So that's a lot to.
Yeah, we're not gonna go down that conversation, but I wanna point something out. If we had a great bartender and nobody else was trained, which is what we're trying to avoid doing, that's part of how we find ourselves here. What is incumbent upon us in order to provide a consistent operation is to ensure that people get enough training and cross-training so that our operation doesn't live or die based on one person being here, okay? And whatever you've heard about that, I can tell you that I'm not gonna get into that. I've had this conversation with our membership before. We don't discuss those types of issues. Whatever was chosen to be disclosed, that, I'm not gonna speak to that, okay? So I really want to be careful here because I understand food is something people are passionate about. They have a lot of, it's a personal experience, and everybody in this room has a different perception about how things need to go. What we have rolled out here is what we strongly believe is the next best step that we can take to address, after months of evaluation, the systemic inconsistency issues and some of the chronic issues that we have. And I get it, you all may not be bought in, you might be sitting here going, they're not gonna. Well, I would hope that in the sense of community, you all sit here and go, you know what? I really wish them well. I think they've got a good plan, I think they've got their heart in the right place, and they all show up to do their very best. Because positive energy begets positive results. The worry, the catastrophizing, this isn't gonna work, does lead to different type of energy. And for this team, this whole community team that shows up with a very strong sense of commitment to yielding a strong outcome, when things don't work, we take it very seriously. We still get up and come back to work and try to do better. That doesn't mean we always do, but we do try. We are very committed to resolving these issues. And there will be some times we fail, okay? But we learn a lot through failure. You learn a lot through not getting things right. And sometimes you learn more through failing than you do through not getting it out of the park. At least that's been my life experience, and I'm willing to bet that resonates with a lot of you in this room. Okay, so hold on just a second here. So that's where I'm going to leave that, and then I'll go for it.
I think the big point we're trying to make here about the bar is, for an operation this size, we do not have a full-time professional bartender. We feel we should have, for consistency, for service, for.
We're working on finding that person for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
this
So,
is the first time I've heard that.
We're training so that we have cross-utilization of bartenders.
But the trainees are being left there alone.
Well, that's an opportunity for sure. Asa.
Pardon me?
That's Sonora's fault.
My question on the bar,
Yes, don't point fingers now.
one of the problems that I have in the bar is that we just want 2 glasses of wine, which is just a pour. It would seem that maybe we need more than one person in the bar, so somebody can be making fancy drinks while others can pour a wine or a beer. Because oftentimes my wine gets there with or after the dinner, and we like to sit down and enjoy
No,
before.
that's a fair point. He said that sometimes would it be dirty value in having what's called a bar back, somebody who executes drinks as opposed to making drinks.
I just want to ask, what's going to happen on July 5th?
Yes, so that's more thoroughly explained. On July 5th, we will be dropping the changes in the Monroe menu. You'll see July 5th, a new menu come out, and Jake will come up here and talk a little bit about what's being added. Then on July 12th, you'll see a new Taboon and Gallery menu roll out. And then from there, later in the summer, we'll see the Buena Vista menu get a refresh. I know that's been something people have been asking about. And then the goal would be to have Napa back online by the end of September with all the physical plant changes. So what you won't see every day is what's happening behind the house to support all of these operational initiatives. What you will see is the removal of the daily specials, weekly specials, chef specials, new published menus start dropping on July 5th.
I'd like to add something nice, if you could believe that coming from me. I have taken the kitchen tour. I highly recommend it for everybody in this room to find the time to take the kitchen tour, because these people do more work with less resource than anything you can possibly imagine.
Thank you, Randy.
Is that we don't understand your problems because you haven't been giving us kitchen tours to see the problems up close and personal. I recommend.
Well, Jerry, we'll get you signed up for the next kitchen tour because they have been happening. Just maybe haven't made it onto but we'll make sure that happens.
I've got the mic.
Hold on. So kitchen tours are available. They are on Life Loop. They are limited in number because when they happen, there is a full operation running and we can only have so many people in the back while the kitchen is fully in production. But I would encourage you, if you haven't had the opportunity, you would like to take the opportunity, check Life Loop or stop and talk to Hanara, Shane, or Jake about when the next one is scheduled.
This seems so negative. I want to applaud all of you for making something that's pretty good into something that's even better. Thank you. Can we have some applause for them?
Thank you. I appreciate that, and the team appreciates that, and I think the thing to know is that, you know, whether we're doing something well or not, there's always opportunity. And that's why we take your concerns, your complaints, and feedback to heart. And as I've discussed in the past, what we try to do is balance what we see as core operational issues with what are personal preferences. And we have to, when we make decisions about how we change or evolve in the operation, it has to be based on what meets the needs of the many, not just the preferences of a few. So, you know, we have to balance that. And food is one of those places that nobody agrees. It is subjective, it is. And Mary.
Yeah, well, I took the kitchen tour and I was very amazed afterwards, like you said. But that you could do what you do with the kitchen. But more than that, I've been here 2 years, and in the last 6 months or so, I have seen so much variety. I love variety. And I can't believe you keep coming up with something really new and creative every day. It's just so wonderful. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So what we're really super excited about is the opportunity that we have to stop doing what we're doing that's not working and try something different. And for years here, they've been trying to do this thing, and I really give Culinary a lot of credit. I've been in senior retirement for 13 years. You've never moved away from the Crandall dietary menu. It's part of what you have to do. And it isn't, and Hillary has opened that up to us, and we're really excited about that. So, keep doing the same thing with the family.
Wonderful.
Yes, that's it.
How can you handle the inconsistency? The chef can't be here looking at every meal that's going out. One night it can be wonderful. The next night, I can't even recognize it. I mean, it's such a pity because it can be so good and then somebody messes it up. But how are you going to do that? How are you going to see what that it's so inconsistent? You go to another restaurant outside of here. You go a month later, order the meal. It's the same recipe. It's delicious. I don't understand how you can handle that.
So that is a big reason why we're getting rid of the Crandall menus. That was the big issue. You would have multiple specials, same recipe, different method. So with this, they will all be my recipes and my team's recipes, some Shane's, you know, whoever wants to throw it in, my sous chef, Michaela. But they will all be consistent recipes because we will keep one big book full of the recipes you guys like and get rid of the ones you guys don't.
And Hanara will be making peanut butter sandwich.
What kind of jelly? Shake.
I looked at your menu book because it was shown to me by someone in the kitchen. And I had asked a specific question of what the ingredients were. And it was the meatloaf. And in the meatloaf, it said on one page there was pork and on another page there was no pork. So who do you believe?
There is no pork in the meatloaf. I made that community specific. Some would argue it's better with pork, but there is no pork in the meatloaf.
No pork, period.
Someone have a hand up over here?
Okay, so we're gonna take our last couple questions. Like I said, we've been going on about an hour and 15 minutes. So we'll go right here and here, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Like I said, I'd really like for everybody to take an FAQ and to July 7th, next Tuesday, right? July 7th, next Tuesday is our food advisory committee. So I would like, if there are any continued questions after having a chance to read all of this and digest it, rewatch this, you know, in the comfort of your own home, then we're happy to continue to answer questions.
After 5 o'clock, can I go to one of the restaurants, sit down, order a meal, have it packaged to go, and leave with it?
That is the standard, yes. One more. Hold on just a second.
At one point, there was discussion of adding grilling capacity to the area around Buena Vista. Is that still under consideration?
From the standpoint of the underutilized outdoor kitchen, that really, even though it's a lovely feature, it's really difficult to mass produce food most of the year here outside and keep the cooks cool without being able to have misters over the food. So it's a health regulation issue. So the conversation is, how would we turn that into something more meaningful and productive for the campus we run today, not just a specialty event space? So that's part of the conversation that Shane dropped. No, we're really looking at that. You know, we have to, again, we have to take what we have and make it as usable as we possibly can. If we could, you know, blow out walls and reinvent the kitchen, if that were practical without taking an entire operation offline, we probably would be having that conversation. But we got to keep feeding people while figuring out how to do that better. And that's the big takeaway, is how do we keep doing it, but do it better with what we have while still executing strategic decisions to make it better. Okay? I want to thank all of you for coming. I appreciate your time. Again, if you want to grab those and we'll let people take one away. All right, thank you all so much. Have a great day.
Thank you for having us.
We need to get you on a kitchen tour.